Life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't wait for your emotions to settle or your fears to disappear before it demands something from you. Success doesn't pause until you're motivated. It doesn't ask if you're comfortable. It responds to one thing and one thing only: discipline. That's the truth most people don't want to face. We live in a world where emotions are treated like the compass of life. Do what feels good. Follow your heart. Wait until you're inspired. But feelings are fragile. They shift like the wind. One day you're excited, the next you're tired. One morning you're on fire, the next you don't even want to get out of bed. If you build your life on feelings, your foundation will always be shaky. Discipline, though, is the anchor. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline says, show up anyway. Think about the people who've built greatness, the ones we admire, the ones whose names echo through history. They weren't always motivated. They weren't always inspired. They didn't wake up every day filled with energy, but they built habits that carried them when emotions betrayed them. Kobe Bryant didn't become a legend because he only trained when he felt like it. He became a legend because he was in the gym before the sun came up, whether he was tired, sore, or uninspired. Oprah Winfrey didn't rise from rejection and hardship to global influence because she was always confident. She rose because she disciplined her mind, she disciplined her focus. She refused to let temporary emotions dictate her permanent future. That's the power of discipline. It turns inconsistent bursts of effort into sustained momentum. And that's the difference between people who dream and people who do. Everyone has dreams. Everyone has desires. Everyone, deep down, has visions of who they could be. But only a few turn those visions into reality. And it's not because they were luckier or more talented. It's because they understood this principle. Discipline is greater than motivation. Discipline doesn't disappear when you're sad. Discipline doesn't quit when you're tired. Discipline shows up when your feelings walk away. You know this in your own life. How many times have you said, I'll do it when I feel like it? How many times have you waited for the right mood, the right energy, the perfect circumstances, and how many times did that moment never come? You've been there, I've been there, we all have. Waiting on feelings is like waiting on a bus that's never arriving. You can stand at that stop forever and your life will pass you by. But when you choose discipline, you stop waiting. You take the steps yourself. You create the momentum. Discipline is what makes you write the book when nobody's reading. Discipline is what makes you train when nobody's cheering. Discipline is what makes you study when nobody's grading. Discipline is what makes you wake up early, eat clean, save money, learn skills, and stay consistent long before the results show up. And here's the truth. Discipline feels hard in the beginning, but over time it becomes freedom. Most people think freedom means doing whatever you feel like, but that's not freedom. That's slavery to your emotions. Real freedom is when you control yourself, not when your feelings control you. Look at anyone who's mastered a craft, built a business, changed their body, or transformed their life. Ask them what got them there. It won't be luck. It won't be chance. It'll be the mornings they didn't want to show up, but showed up anyway. It'll be the nights they wanted to quit, but chose to keep going. It'll be the countless repetitions, the endless hours, the invisible work nobody saw. That's discipline, and that's why their lives look different. But here's the catch. Discipline doesn't come easy, it's a fight. Every day your emotions will try to drag you back into comfort. Your mind will whisper, just do it tomorrow. Your body will scream, I'm too tired. Your feelings will argue, what's the point? And in that moment, you've got a choice. You can surrender or you can stand firm. You can obey your feelings or you can lead them. Discipline isn't about denying your emotions. It's about refusing to let them make the final decision. It's like building muscle. At first it hurts. At first it feels unnatural. At first everything in you resists. But with repetition, with consistency, with discipline, it becomes your new normal. What once felt impossible becomes second nature. And that's where transformation happens. The person you dream of becoming is on the other side of discipline. Discipline is also the great equalizer. Not everyone has the same talent. Not everyone has the same resources. Not everyone has the same opportunities. But discipline levels the field. You may not be the smartest, the fastest, or the most connected. But if you are the most disciplined, you will outlast, outwork, and eventually outperform. Talent will give you a head start, but discipline will carry you across the finish line. And don't confuse discipline with perfection. Discipline doesn't mean you'll never fail, never slip, never fall. Discipline means you get back up. Discipline means you return to the path even after you've wandered. Discipline means you keep your eyes fixed on the bigger picture when the present feels overwhelming. It's not about being flawless. It's about being relentless. So let me ask you this. What kind of life do you want? Do you want the kind of life that bends and breaks with every wave of emotion? Or do you want the kind of life that stands strong, that builds, that lasts? Do you want to wake up years from now regretting the chances you never took because you were waiting to feel ready? Or do you want to wake up proud, knowing that every step, every sacrifice, every discipline brought you here? Your feelings will tell you to quit. Your feelings will tell you it's too hard. Your feelings will tell you to wait. But your future is not built on feelings. Your future is built on choices. And the greatest choice you can make is to discipline yourself daily, to push beyond the temporary discomfort for the sake of permanent growth. One day, the applause will fade, the motivation will vanish, the excitement will wear off, and all that will be left is your habits. The question is, what habits will you have built? Will you have built a life carried by discipline, or will you be left with excuses carried by feelings? That's the line between average and extraordinary. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is love for your future self. It's saying, I care enough about who I'm becoming to pay the price today. It's choosing the pain of growth over the pain of regret. Because regret is heavier than any discipline. You can carry the weight of discipline for a moment, or you can carry the weight of regret for a lifetime. So don't wait for motivation. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the stars to align. Decide today that you will be disciplined. Decide today that you will lead your life, not follow your feelings, because discipline, real discipline, is the foundation of greatness. And once you master it, there is nothing, no obstacle, no failure, no setback, that can stop you from rising into the person you were meant to be. Some of the heaviest chains we carry in life aren't made of metal. They're made of words, beliefs, and stories we picked up along the way. Somewhere in your journey, you've heard things spoken over you. Maybe it was a teacher who said you'd never make it. Maybe it was a parent who compared you to someone else. Maybe it was a friend who laughed at your dream. Or maybe it was your own voice whispering doubt every time you failed. Those words sink deep, and before long, they start to sound like truth. You begin to live not as the person you were created to be, but as the story those lies told you. Think about it. How many times have you repeated the same phrases in your mind? I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I'll never be successful. I don't have what it takes. Those words replay like a broken record until you forget where they even came from. They become so familiar that you mistake them for your identity. But let me tell you something you may have forgotten. You are not the words that broke you. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the pain someone else caused you. And you are certainly not the voice of fear that lives in your head. That voice is poison, but here's the hardest truth about it. It's a story you've agreed to, maybe not on purpose, maybe not clearly. But every time you said, I can't, every time you gave up too early, every time you handed your power to someone else's opinion, you were writing a script that was never meant for you. You took moments of failure, moments of rejection, moments of weakness, and you turned them into your entire identity. You carried wounds like they were permanent labels, and without realizing it, you started performing a role in a play you never wanted to be in. But here's the beauty, the part most people miss. Just because you've been living in that story doesn't mean you have to stay there. The pen has always been in your hands. You can rewrite it. You can flip the page and create a new narrative, one rooted not in shame or fear, but in truth and strength. You can decide that your past will not be your definition, but your foundation. Your story is not written in stone. It's written in ink, and ink can be changed. Too many people live their whole lives trapped inside lies they never challenged. They let the script play on repeat without ever asking, who told me this? Why do I believe it? And what if it's wrong? But you're not just most people. Deep down, you already know there's more for you. That whisper in your spirit, that quiet nudge you feel when you're alone, that's not weakness, that's truth. That's your real story trying to break through the noise. It's your potential refusing to die in silence, but you've got to fight for it. You've got to look at the story that's held you back and declare, no more. No more believing you're less. No more shrinking to make others comfortable. No more handing your future over to a version of your past that doesn't even recognize the person you've become. You've grown, you've endured, you've survived storms that tried to take you out, and you're still here. That means something. That means there's still ink left in your pen. That means you still have time to change the ending. Every strong mind you admire, every person who turned their life around, every soul who rose from ashes to greatness, they all had one thing in common. They didn't accept the first draft of their story. They didn't let pain have the final word. They didn't believe the lie that the way things started is the way they had to finish. They picked up the pen. They rewrote the narrative. They turned wounds into wisdom, scars into reminders, and setbacks into setups. That's what resilience looks like. Yes, it's hard. Yes, those old pages will haunt you. Yes, there will be people who try to trap you in an old version of yourself, because your growth makes them uncomfortable. But you cannot shrink back into who you used to be just because it feels familiar. Familiar is not the same as free. Safe is not the same as alive. If you want to rise, you've got to walk away from the comfort of lies and step into the risk of truth. That means tearing up the old script. The one that calls you a failure, the one that says you'll never be enough, the one that defines you only by what you lost, who left you, or how many times you fell. That script has no power unless you keep rehearsing it. So stop reading the same chapter. Stop rehearsing the same lines. Stop giving energy to a version of yourself that no longer exists. And when you write the new one, don't just write survival, write victory. Write redemption. Write a story where your scars don't make you bitter but make you bold. Where your pain didn't crush you but carved strength into your bones. Where your setbacks didn't trap you but trained you. That's the story that's waiting to be lived. That's the story that honors the fact that you're still standing. Listen, you don't need permission to rewrite. You don't need someone to hand you the pen. It's already yours, and you don't need the world to believe in you before you start. You just need to believe enough to take the first step. Because the moment you start living from truth instead of lies, from strength instead of shame, everything changes. The past won't vanish, but it will no longer own you. The wounds won't disappear, but they will no longer define you. You are not your worst moment. You are not your darkest thought. You are not the mistakes you made when you didn't know better. You are your potential. You are the choices you make now. You are the fire in your spirit that refuses to die, no matter how many times life tried to put it out. That's who you really are. And the sooner you pick up the pen and claim that, the sooner your life will shift. So today, ask yourself, what story am I still rehearsing? Who handed me these words, and do they even belong to me? And if the answer is no, let them go. Tear up the script. Walk away from the lies. Write something that your future self will thank you for. Write something that your younger self would be proud of. Write something worthy of the battles you've survived. Because at the end of the day, you get to decide how this story unfolds. Not your past, not your critics, not the voice of fear, you. The pen has always been in your hands. It's time to use it. Most people think gratitude is something you practice when everything is going your way. They tie it to comfort, to success, to seasons of ease. When the bills are paid, when the relationship is thriving, when the body feels strong, when the career is moving forward, then they say, I'm grateful. But that kind of gratitude is shallow. It's fragile, because the moment life takes a turn, the moment the storm rolls in, the moment something precious slips through your fingers, that gratitude disappears. Real gratitude doesn't work like that. Real gratitude is not built on circumstances. Real gratitude is built on perspective. Life will test you. That's not a possibility. That's a guarantee. There will be days when the world feels unfair, when the people you trusted walk away, when the dream you've been fighting for shatters right in front of you. And in those moments, gratitude seems impossible. Pain screams louder than perspective. Loss drowns out hope. Everything inside you wants to fold, to give up, to say, "What's the point?" But that is the very place where gratitude matters most. Gratitude is not about ignoring the pain. It's not about pretending you're okay when you're not. It's about choosing to see what's left instead of obsessing over what's gone. It's about saying, "Yes, I'm hurting. Yes, I've lost something. Yes, this isn't fair, but I'm still here. I still have breath in my lungs. I still have a chance. I still have something to fight for." That kind of gratitude transforms suffering into strength. It doesn't erase the storm, but it gives you an anchor in it. You've been through moments that nearly broke you. Nights when you didn't think you'd make it to the morning. Days when the weight on your chest felt unbearable. And yet here you are, still breathing, still standing, still capable of more. That's something to be grateful for. Don't minimize it. Don't overlook it. Breath itself is proof that your story isn't over. It means you get another chance, another opportunity, another shot to rise again. There was a man once who had everything stripped from him: his home, his family, his dignity. He was locked away in one of the darkest places humanity has ever known. He had no freedom, no safety, no guarantee of tomorrow. And yet, in the midst of that horror, he discovered a truth that cannot be stolen. They could take his possessions, they could take his body, but they could never take his choice of attitude. They could not decide for him how he would respond. In that moment, he found freedom no prison could touch. Gratitude became his power, his quiet rebellion against despair. And that's the secret most people miss. Gratitude is not about conditions. It's about decisions. It's not about waiting for life to hand you perfection. It's about refusing to let life steal your perspective. You can choose to be grateful even in the storm. You can choose to see light even in the dark. You can choose to value what remains even when much has been lost. That choice doesn't make you weak. That choice makes you powerful, because nothing external controls your spirit unless you hand it the keys. Gratitude in hard times doesn't make the pain vanish, but it changes you. It shifts your focus. Instead of drowning in bitterness, you rise in resilience. Instead of being crushed under the weight, you discover strength you didn't know you had. Gratitude says, "Life, you may strip me of much, but you will not strip me of my hope. You will not take away my ability to see meaning, to see beauty, to see purpose in even the smallest things." That's where freedom lies. Think about the scars you carry. Think about the heartbreaks, the failures, the betrayals. Each one of them left a mark, and yet you're still here. Those scars are not proof of weakness. They are proof of survival. Proof that you've walked through fire and came out on the other side. Proof that no matter how much life tried to bury you, you refused to stay down. If nothing else, be grateful for that. Be grateful for the strength those scars represent. Be grateful that you're not the same person you were before the storm, because now you're wiser, tougher, and more aware of what really matters. Gratitude has the power to turn ordinary moments into miracles. A sunrise, a laugh, a breath, a chance to try again. These are not small things. These are life itself. And when you start to see them for what they are, when you stop waiting for perfect conditions to be thankful, you find a resilience most people never touch. Suddenly, even in the storm, you carry peace. Even in loss, you carry perspective. Even in pain, you carry purpose. Don't misunderstand. Gratitude doesn't mean settling. It doesn't mean pretending everything's fine and never striving for more. Gratitude and ambition are not enemies. Gratitude is what keeps your ambition from turning into greed, from turning into emptiness, from turning into a chase that never satisfies. Gratitude grounds you, even as you reach higher. It reminds you that your worth is not in achievements or possessions, but in the fact that you are alive and capable of more. Every time you choose gratitude in the storm, you build strength. Every time you find one thing to hold onto when everything else feels gone, you sharpen your resilience. That's what makes you unshakable. Not that life never knocks you down, but that you always find a reason to rise again. Gratitude is that reason. Gratitude is what keeps the fire alive when the world tries to put it out. And maybe today life feels heavy. Maybe you've lost something you thought you couldn't live without. Maybe you're carrying pain that nobody else sees. And maybe you're wondering how you're supposed to be grateful in the middle of it. The answer is simple, but not easy. Start small. Find one thing, just one. Maybe it's the fact that your heart is still beating. Maybe it's the strength to take one more step. Maybe it's the memory of a time you thought you wouldn't make it, but you did. That one thing can become your anchor. That one thing can be the spark that keeps you moving forward. Gratitude is not about ignoring reality. It's about refusing to let reality steal your hope. It's about claiming your power back when life feels uncontrollable. It's about saying, yes, I'm hurting. Yes, this is hard, but I am still here. And as long as I am here, I still have a chance. That's where true strength lies. That's where unshakable spirits are born. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for everything to align. Choose gratitude now, especially now. Because the storm will not last forever, but the strength you build through gratitude will. And one day you'll look back at this season, not with bitterness but with pride. Because you'll realize it was gratitude that kept you from breaking. Gratitude that helped you rise. Gratitude that turned your pain into power and your scars into proof that nothing could stop you. Focus is no longer optional. In the world you live in today, distraction isn't just around you, it's engineered for you. Every second, something is fighting for your attention. Notifications lighting up your phone, headlines screaming for outrage, endless streams of entertainment pulling you into rabbit holes where hours vanish before you realize it. And little by little, your energy leaks away, your vision blurs, your dreams grow distant, not because you're not capable, not because you don't have what it takes, but because your attention has been stolen piece by piece. If you want to live with power, you must reclaim it. You must fight for your focus like your future depends on it, because it does. Nothing meaningful is built with a scattered mind. Nothing lasting is achieved by someone who chases everything and commits to nothing. Every great story of resilience, every example of mastery, every legacy that echoes through time has one thing in common: focus. The ability to lock in, to cut out the noise, to dedicate yourself to something so deeply that distractions become powerless. Look at the lives of those who achieved greatness, not just flashes of fame, not just moments of recognition, but sustained excellence. What set them apart? It wasn't luck. It wasn't shortcuts. It was the discipline to focus. To show up day after day, even when it was boring. To block out the noise of doubt, gossip, and temptation. To train themselves to keep their eyes fixed on the mission. Focus was their superpower, and it can be yours too. Kobe Bryant once said that when he stepped onto the court, nothing else existed. Not the crowd, not the noise, not even the pressure. It was just him, the ball, and the game. He wasn't distracted by what people thought. He wasn't consumed by fear of failure. He was completely present in the moment, locked into the work. That wasn't an accident. That was years of training his mind to shut out everything else. Years of saying no to things that didn't matter so he could say yes to the thing that did. That's why he wasn't just playing basketball. He became basketball. His focus turned talent into greatness and greatness into legacy. That kind of focus doesn't come naturally. It's a choice made over and over again. A choice to put down the phone when everyone else is scrolling. A choice to stay late working when your friends are out partying. A choice to protect your energy from meaningless conversations, empty drama, and endless distractions. Focus is forged in the small decisions, the daily sacrifices, the moments no one else sees. It's built in silence, in discipline, in the willingness to guard your mind like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. Most people don't realize how much of their potential is wasted, not because they're incapable, but because they're unfocused. They start something with passion, but they drift. They get inspired, but they never sustain. They have the talent, but they let distractions steal their consistency, and so their potential fades, not because it wasn't there, but because it was never protected. Imagine how different your life could look if you took all the energy you pour into distractions and redirected it into your vision. Imagine what you could build if you treated your focus as sacred, refusing to hand it over to things that don't matter. Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters. It's about cutting away the unnecessary, stripping down the noise, and pouring yourself into the few things that truly align with your purpose. When you focus, you multiply your power, your time becomes more valuable, your energy becomes sharper, your results become inevitable, because instead of scattering yourself in 100 directions, you're pouring yourself fully into the path that leads you forward. And here's the truth. The world will not make it easy for you. Distraction is the default. Average is the norm. People will try to pull you into their chaos, their drama, their endless cycles of wasting time. They'll say you're obsessed, too serious, too locked in. They'll misunderstand your dedication because it makes them uncomfortable with their own lack of focus. But you cannot let their noise become your compass. You cannot let their opinions rob you of your future. Greatness demands sacrifice, and one of the biggest sacrifices is comfort. Focus requires boundaries. It requires you to say no more often than yes. No to the endless scrolling, no to the meaningless arguments, no to the habits that steal your clarity. Every no protects your yes. Every time you reject distraction, you're saying yes to your vision, yes to your growth, yes to the version of yourself you're becoming. That's the kind of commitment that transforms dreams into reality. And don't think focus is just about productivity. Focus is survival. Without it, you're swept into the tide of noise, drifting wherever the world pushes you. With it, you take back control. You decide where your energy goes. You decide what gets your attention. You decide what deserves your time. Focus is power, and power is freedom. When you're focused, you're not a victim of distraction. You're the master of your destiny. You'll notice something when you live with focus. The world gets quieter. The chaos doesn't disappear, but it loses its grip on you. Instead of being pulled in every direction, you move with clarity. Instead of reacting to everything, you act with intention. Instead of being drained by meaningless noise, you're energized by meaningful progress. Focus is not just about achieving goals. It's about living awake, fully present, fully alive, no longer numb to the beauty and potential of your own life. And yes, focus will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you approval. It will cost you the easy road that most people take. But what you gain is so much greater. You gain mastery. You gain resilience. You gain the satisfaction of knowing that your life is not being wasted on things that don't matter. Focus turns fleeting moments into lasting impact. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It turns potential into legacy. So, ask yourself, what is stealing your focus? What are you giving your energy to that isn't serving you? What distractions have you allowed to take priority over your purpose? Be honest, because until you face those truths, you can't change them. But once you do, you take back your power. You take back your time. You take back your future. The world doesn't need more people lost in noise. It needs more people locked in on purpose. More people who refuse to let distraction define them. More people who are willing to guard their focus like it's sacred, because it is. You have that ability. You have that choice. And when you choose it, when you fight for it, when you live it, you'll discover something most people never will. The freedom that comes from a focused life. So, stop scattering yourself. Stop handing your attention away for cheap. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Decide today that your focus is worth protecting. Decide today that your vision is worth your full attention. Decide today that your future deserves nothing less than all of you. Because the truth is simple. The people who focus change the world, while the people who drift are forgotten. Be the one who focuses. Be the one who rises. Be the one who proves that in a distracted world, a focused mind is unstoppable.